You're listening to Cool FM. Cool FM is a TVH Group of Networks radio station. Tondo's greatest hits are here. You are listening to Cool FM. Live from Cool Studios. This is Cool News at 11.
Good morning and welcome to koolNews at 11. The Office of the Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has tagged as suspects former National Police Chief and now Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa and 4 other retired and current police officers for alleged involvement in the deaths of thousands of people in former President Rodrigo Duterte's drug war. In a July 3 ICC document shared by former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV on Thursday, the prosecutor of the Hague-based Tribunal found reasonable grounds to believe that the 5 former and current Philippine National Police officials had concerned involvement in the systematic killings in the ruthless implementation of Duterte's anti-drug campaign. In addition to De La Rosa, the others named by the ICC Prosecutor's Office were retired PNP Chief Oscar Albayade, former Criminal Investigation and Detection Group Chief Romeo Caramat Jr., former National Police Commission Chief Alberto Leonardo, and former PNP Chief Intelligence Officer Eleazar Mata. De La Rosa left the PNP following his mandatory retirement in 2018 and won a Senate seat in 2019. He was succeeded by Albayade, who led the police force until his retirement in 2019. Leonardo, a police colonel who retired in 2030, also served as Environment Undersecretary under the Duterte administration. What's new? Caramat and Mata remain active in the PNP as the acting police commander of Northern Luzon and Drug Enforcement Group Director, respectively. As for comment, De La Rosa was nonchalant. My name was always mentioned since 2016. Seems like a broken record that keeps on repeating the same lines, he told the Inquirer. In addition to De La Rosa and Leonardo, there were 9 other people implicated in the charges against Duterte, former Justice Secretary Vitalino Aguirre II, Police Superintendent Roy Ina Garma, ex-House Speaker Pantalon Alvarez, former Interior Secretary Ismael Sueno, former SP04 Samson Buenaventura, former National Bureau of Investigation Director Dante Garan, former Solicitor General Jose Calida, former Senator Richard Gordon, and Senator Alan Peter Gatillano. According to Trillanes, De La Rosa and the 4 others are considered primary suspects, along with Duterte, the alleged principal suspect in the complaint of crimes against humanity for the murder of thousands in the ex-president's war on drugs. In naming them as suspects, the ICC's Office of the Prosecutor, headed by Karim Kehan, cited Article 55(2) of the Rome Statute, which states that they have the right to be informed about the charges prior to facing interrogation by the prosecutor. Under the ICC rules, they have the right to be informed that there are grounds to believe that they have committed a crime within the jurisdiction of the court, to remain silent, to have legal assistance, and to be questioned in the presence of counsel unless they voluntarily waive their right to consult. The confidential ICC document, parts of which were redacted to conceal sensitive information, was signed by Deputy Prosecutor Nazhat Kehan. Trillanes declined to elaborate on whether the July 3 document would lead to the issuance of arrest warrants or that the ICC's pre-trial Chamber 1, which is assigned to decide once it becomes a full-blown case, was preparing to release them. They are still in the finishing stages of the investigation, he told the Inquirer in an exchange of messages. Once the warrants are out, the Interpol, or known as the International Criminal Police Organization, will be the agency that would facilitate the execution of the warrants, Trillanes said. Lawyers representing the families of the drug war victims have asserted that enforcing arrest warrants handed down by the ICC was not impossible, as it could be done through the Interpol, where the Philippines remains a member. The country's withdrawal from the Rome Statute, the 2002 document establishing the ICC, took effect in 2019. But the ICC has maintained that it continued to have jurisdiction over alleged crimes against humanity in the Philippines from November 1, 2011 to March 16, 2019, when the country was still a member of the International Court. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has repeatedly said that the Philippines will not cooperate with any ICC processes, including the ongoing investigation of his predecessor's bloody drug war. The complaint accusing Duterte of crimes against humanity is currently classified as situations in the ICC, meaning no case has been formalized or confirmed by the pretrial chamber against him. It is still under the investigation stage, which involves gathering evidence and identifying a suspect, according to the ICC process. It is also at this stage where a warrant of arrest is issued, or when an unidentified suspect is summoned to appear before the court. The inquiry will then be followed by the pretrial stage, when the judges confirm the suspect's identity and ensure the suspect understands the charges. The ICC investigation of the alleged murders of thousands of suspected drug users and pushers using police operations as part of policy to eradicate the drug menace in the country began in September 2021. 2 months later, the Philippine government appealed to stop the investigation, saying that it would conduct its own probe and prosecution of crimes related to the conduct of the drug war. The ICC appeals chamber rejected this in July 2023. Bayamuna Chair Neri Colmenares on Thursday urged the suspects to cooperate with the ICC prosecutor and disclose information about the drug war, suggesting that it could potentially lead to lighter sentences. By telling all, these suspects can contribute to ending the impunity that has long plagued our country and help ensure that such human rights violations never happen again, he said in a statement. By cooperating with the ICC and providing crucial information, they not only have the opportunity to clear their conscience, but also to potentially reduce their culpability in the eyes of the court, Colmenares said. He said the importance of transparency was in the interest of the drug war victims and their families. The Filipino people deserve to know the full extent of the atrocities committed under the guise of a war on drugs, the former lawmaker said. These officials have a moral and legal obligation to come forward with the truth, not just for their own sakes, but for the thousands of victims and their families who continue to seek justice. The office of the Vice President on Thursday finally broke its silence about the foreign trip taken by Vice President Sara Duterte and her family shortly after midnight on July 25, the day government efforts were to focus on disaster response amid the widespread flooding caused by Super Typhoon Karina. In a statement, the OVP said Duterte went on a personal trip to Germany and that she was granted travel authority by Malacanan on July 9. The timing of the trip coinciding with Typhoon Karina is unfortunate. Nonetheless, the Disaster Operations Center of the OVP, institutionalized by the Vice President, is always ready to assist families affected by calamities, the OVP said. As of Thursday afternoon, the OVP has extended assistance to individuals and families taking shelter in at least 9 evacuation centers in Manila, the inquiry learned. On Wednesday, the OVP initially declined to confirm or give additional details of Duterte's flight or the nature of her trip. Lack of empathy concerned. The day saw netizens criticizing her absence at a time when government agencies were being mobilized as Metro Manila and other parts of Luzon were underwater due to the heavy monsoon rains induced by Karina. Some social posts drew comparisons between today's OVP and the time of then Vice President Leni Robredo, who personally oversaw relief efforts during calamities and gave situational updates. Robredo on Wednesday reactivated her non-governmental organization, Hanggang Buhay, for relief operations in several provinces hit by the typhoon. The group also relieved via Nihan e-Consulta, an online medical consultation service provided by volunteer doctors. Following the OVP statement, Liberal Party Chair and Albay Representative Axel Lachlan said Duterte pushing through with her family trip showed an appalling lack of empathy and concern at a time when hundreds of thousands of Filipinos are in agony and despair. It is not an excuse that the trip has long been planned and she has a travel authority. It does not justify her leaving the country at a time of crisis, Lachman said. She should have allowed the members of her family to go ahead with the trip, and she could have just followed after attending personally to the needs of the victims, as is expected of a genuine public servant. The sincerity of public leaders must be gauged by their selflessness and support in times of nationwide calamities and emergencies, the opposition lawmaker said. And President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. on Thursday instructed the Department of Health to set up clinics and deploy medical teams to all evacuation centers after Metro Manila was placed under a state of calamity following widespread flooding due to the combined effects of Super Typhoon Karina and the southwest monsoon. Sometimes healthcare is overlooked in post-evacuation situations, but those in the evacuation areas need to have access to clinics or at least rotating medical team, Marcos said at a pulse briefing. Tell the DOH that the evacuation centers, it's necessary, especially the children. We have to give some medical care even if it's just their barangay health workers first until a doctor is available, he added. We have to ensure that we are able to provide the maintenance medicines of the senior citizens because they were cut off from their supply. But that requires a prescription from a doctor, he said. In line with the President's order, Health Secretary Teodoro Herbosa tasked DOH units to support local government units for health concerns in evacuation centers. It is now 12 minutes past 11 and koolNews at 11 will continue up to this break. We will be right back. welcome back. Let's get into the international headlines now. As Ismael Almayo Zambada, a longtime leader of Mexico's Sinaloa cartel, and Joaquin Guzman Lopez, a son of another infamous cartel leader, were arrested by U.S. authorities in Texas on Thursday, the U.S. Justice Department said. A leader of the powerful Sinaloa cartel for decades alongside Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, Zambada is one of the most powerful drug traffickers in the world and known for running the cartel's smuggling operations while keeping a lower profile. The U.S. government had offered a reward of up to $15 million for information leading to Zambada's capture. The Justice Department said the men were arrested in El Paso but didn't immediately provide details about how they were taken into custody. With strong ties to Colombian cocaine suppliers and his sales across the United States, Zambada has been among the leaders of the Sinaloa cartel since the 1970s. The group's principal livelihood has been the sale of narcotics in the United States, authorities said. Zambada and Guzman Lopez are facing multiple charges for leading the cartel's criminal operations, including its deadly fentanyl manufacturing and trafficking networks, Attorney General Merrick Garland said. Fentanyl is the deadliest drug threat our country has ever faced, and the Justice Department will not rest until every single cartel leader, member, and associate responsible for poisoning our communities is held accountable, Garland said in a statement. U.S. authorities have been seeking Zambada's capture for years. He was charged in the Eastern District of New York with conspiring to manufacture and distribute the synthetic opioid. Prosecutors said he was continuing to lead the Sinaloa cartel, one of the most violent and powerful drug trafficking organizations in the world. Zambada, one of the longest surviving capos in Mexico, was considered the cartel's strategist, more involved in day-to-day operations than his flashier and better-known boss, El Chapo Guzman, who was sentenced to life in prison in the U.S. in 2019 and is the father of Guzman Lopez. Okay. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris launched a blistering attack on Donald Trump and his quote-unquote extremist Republicans as she addressed teachers Thursday, seeking to rally a key part of the Democratic coalition behind her bid to take on the billionaire for the presidency. The country's first female vice president, who is seeking to make history again in November, has enjoyed a groundswell of support from labor groups, ethnic minorities, and her own party since announcing her 11th-hour candidacy to replace President Joe Biden as the candidate. The momentum appeared to catch Trump off guard as the bombastic Republican refused to schedule a debate with Harris, saying Thursday night it would be inappropriate until she is officially named the Democratic nominee. Democrats very well could still change their minds. Trump campaign spokesperson Stephen TGON said in a statement. Harris, a former top prosecutor for California, tweeted on X, "What happened to anytime, any place?" Earlier she had said of a potential September 10 face-off, "I'm ready, so let's go." The first union to endorse Harris, the American Federation of Teachers, applauded at their convention in Houston as Harris warned that the country was teachers, applauded at their convention in Houston. Excuse me. I think I might have repeated that one. Whoops. The first union to endorse Harris, the American Federation of Teachers, applauded at their convention in Houston as Harris warned that the country was witnessing a full-on attack by Trump's Republicans on hard-won hard-fought freedoms. While you teach students about democracy and representative government, extremists attack these scared freedom to vote. While you try to create safe and welcoming places where our children can learn, extremists attack our freedom to live safe from gun violence, she said. They have the nerve to tell teachers to strap on a gun in the classroom while they refuse to pass common sense gun safety laws. Harris, 59, jumped into the election after weeks of turmoil over 81-year-old Biden, who bowed out Sunday after a dismal debate performance against Trump accelerated concerns over his mental capacity and persistently low polling numbers. Calling herself a proud product of public education, she connected her personal story to her personal outlook, telling her audience that the work of teaching was personal and is professional and so critically important. Harris tied the event to a key campaign message about refusing to go back to Trump's America, but praising her audience as visionaries who look to the future. And she constructed Democratic efforts to cancel student debt and her vision of investment in public schools and universities with Trump's vote to dismantle the education department and cut spending in half. And now for some hybrid tech gaming news. Hollywood's video game performers announced they would go on strike Thursday, July 25, throwing part of the entertainment industry into another work stoppage after talks for a new contract with major game studios broke down over artificial intelligence protections. This strike, the second for video game voice actors and motion capture performers under the Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, will begin at 12:01 a.m. Friday. The move comes after nearly 2 years of negotiations with gaming giants, including divisions of Activision, Warner Brothers, and Walt Disney Company over a new interactive media agreement. SAG-AFTRA negotiators said gains have been made over wages and job safety in the video game contract, but that the two sides remain split over the regulation of generative AI. A spokesperson for video game producers, Hartley Cooling, said the studio offered AI protection, but SAG-AFTRA's negotiating committee said that the studio's definition of who constitutes a performer is key to understanding the issue of who would be protected. The industry has told us point blank that they do not necessarily consider everyone who is rendering movement performance to be a performer that is covered by the collective bargaining agreement. SAG-AFTRA Chief Contracts Officer Ray Rodriguez said at a news conference Thursday afternoon. He said some physical performances are being treated as data. Without guardrails, game companies could train AI to replicate an actor's voice or create a digital replica of their likeness without consent or fair compensation, the union said. We strike as a matter of last resort. We have given this process already absolutely as much time as we possibly can, Rodriguez told reporters. We have exhausted the other possibilities, and that is why we're doing it now. Cooling said the company's offer extends meaningful AI protections. We are disappointed the union has chosen to walk away when we are so close to a deal, and we remain prepared to resume negotiations, she said. Andy Norris, an actor and member of the union's negotiating committee, said that those who do stunt work or creature performance would still be at risk under the game company's offer. The performers who bring their body of work to these games create a whole variety of characters, and all of that work must be covered. The proposal would crave out anything that doesn't look and sound identical to me as I sit here when, in truth, or on any given week, I am a zombie, I am a soldier, I am zombie soldier, Norris said. We cannot and will not accept that a stunt or movement performer giving a full performance on stage next to a voice actor isn't a performer. The global video game industry generates well over $100 billion in profit annually, according to game market forecaster Newzoo. The people who design and bring those games to life are the driving forces, not forces but force that behind that success, SAG Afdira said. Members voted overwhelmingly last year to give leadership the authority to strike. Concerns about how movie studios will use AI helped fuel last year's film and television strikes by the union, which lasted 4 months. The last interactive contract, which expired in November 2022, did not provide protections about AI but secured a bonus compensation structure for voice actors and performance capture artists after an 11-month strike that began in October 2016. That work stoppage marked the first major labor action from SAG Afdira following the merger of Hollywood's 2 largest actors' unions in 2012. The video game agreement covers more than 2,500 off-camera or voice-over performers, on-camera motion capture stunt performers, stunt coordinators, singers, dancers, puppeteers, and background performers, according to the union. And that is it for Cool News at 11. As always, you can get in touch with us at tvh.philippines.news@gmail.com. And we will continue our headlines later with Cool News at noon, which is at 12 noon. Until then, I am Caro, aka Aspir, and we will see you later at noon. Goodbye for now.